If anybody in this chamber, council, staff, senators, can point to a statutory provision that says that we are not allowed to supplant using those constitutional dollars for the bonding projects, I'd really like to see that. I think that it's very appropriate for the conversation we're having about whether this bill should go back to our committee. The reason why is that by our calculation, there's $173 million in projects in this version of the bill that would qualify for the constitutionally dedicated funds, the clean water funds, the parks and trails funds, the outdoor heritage funds, the arts programs. They could be funded in the next biennium with dollars that are already dedicated for those purposes. So in my view, if there's $1 billion bill here, a little over, a little under, there's $173 million that we don't need to pay for, and we can still fund those projects in the next biennium. We're going to spend that money anyway. It's coming in. Why would we borrow now for projects that we can pay for in the next biennium with money that is coming to the state regardless of our actions today? This bill should go back to committee for that very reason, to go back and look again and say, wait a minute, are there other sources of funds available to us for paying for these projects? Is this really a need for the credit card? Do we have to borrow and pay interest on these projects, or couldn't they be paid for in the next biennium? I think we should slow down a little bit here. Minnesotans are saying, wait a minute, I just heard that we have a $1.2 billion deficit. It doesn't make sense that St. Paul says the answer is to go borrow another billion. I've heard so many people in this chamber concerned, as I am, as Minnesotans are, that we are borrowing money, Mr. President, from our schools to pay our ongoing bills. I've heard so many members in this chamber very concerned about the fact that we have a structural deficit. That in the next biennium we could be short $5.6 billion to $8 billion under current law spending. With a $33 billion budget, that's a third, almost a third of our budget we have as a structural deficit. We have some very significant budgeting issues. Please, let's send this bill back to committee. Let's work through these projects. Let's see if there are some other alternatives. Let's go back to dealing with the budget, because that's what we came here for. Minnesotans want us to. And for all of those members that may have projects in your district in this bill, I understand that desire to help your community. But let me just say, don't you also have homes in foreclosure? Don't you also have 10% or more of families that are short on jobs? Unemployed, underemployed, folks that have given up looking for jobs? Do you have businesses that have gone out of business, folks that have had to unemploy people and terminate them even though they didn't want to? Don't you have commercial buildings that are vacant throughout your district? Let's think about those things before we take this vote on this bill. Let's send it back to committee. Please, let's get our priorities right. Let's make sure that every project in this list is a need before we borrow more money. It's been the heart of our problem all along. Please, members, vote to support Jeff Michel's motion.